Elon Musk has made another bold announcement that has taken the tech world by storm. The billionaire entrepreneur revealed major updates about Neuralink's progress. Neuralink is the brain-computer interface company Musk co-founded in 2016. Its ultimate goal is to connect human brains directly to computers. The promise is to enhance human cognition, treat neurological conditions, and possibly merge humanity with artificial intelligence. This concept has fascinated scientists, technologists, and futurists for years. But with great ambition comes controversy and skepticism. Recently, Neuralink announced it had officially begun its first human trials. This revelation sparked an intense wave of interest and debate across the globe. People are asking whether this is the dawn of a new era or the start of a dangerous experiment. The company calls its first product the Link. It is a small, implantable device designed to be inserted into the skull. The device contains ultra-thin threads that connect to the brain's neurons. These threads pick up electrical signals from the brain and transmit them to an external device. Theoretically, this allows a person to control computers, smartphones, or even prosthetic limbs with thought alone. Musk has described Neuralink as a solution to many debilitating conditions. He claims it could help restore movement in paralyzed patients. He suggests it could eventually help people with blindness regain some form of vision. The concept sounds like science fiction, but Musk insists it's becoming science fact. When Neuralink first demonstrated the device, it was tested on animals. One early demonstration featured a pig named Gertrude with an implanted Link device. The device recorded signals from her brain in real time as she sniffed and explored her environment. Later, Neuralink showed a monkey playing Pong using only its mind. That video went viral, raising both excitement and ethical concerns. Animal rights groups criticized Neuralink for its testing practices. Reports emerged of complications and deaths among test animals. Neuralink defended its procedures, claiming they followed ethical standards. Despite the backlash, Musk pushed forward with human trials. In 2023, Neuralink received FDA approval to begin its first in-human clinical study. That milestone was considered a significant step forward for the company. But what exactly does this human trial involve? The procedure requires drilling a small hole in the patient's skull. A surgical robot then inserts the ultra-thin electrode threads into the brain. The device is powered wirelessly and connects to an app for data transmission. This entire process is highly delicate and requires extreme precision. The company claims the surgery is minimally invasive. Musk even suggests the procedure could one day be as quick as LASIK eye surgery. The first human subject has reportedly received the implant. Musk confirmed this during a recent update, though he shared few details. The company has named this human trial project PRIME. That stands for Precise Robotically Implanted Brain-Computer Interface. The aim is to evaluate the safety and functionality of the implant in humans. Early reports suggest the patient is recovering well. But what does recovering well really mean in this context? Experts caution that brain surgeries always carry risks. These include infection, inflammation, and potential neurological damage. Additionally, long-term effects of brain implants remain unknown. Some neuroscientists argue the benefits might not outweigh the risks for healthy individuals. However, for patients with severe neurological conditions, the potential is life-changing. Imagine a person with complete paralysis being able to communicate again. Imagine restoring mobility to someone who has lost all motor function. These are the hopes driving Neuralink forward. But critics warn that hope can sometimes overshadow caution. Many fear that Neuralink is moving too fast. Regulatory approval was granted only for a limited number of participants. That means the technology is still highly experimental. Yet Musk speaks as if commercialization is just around the corner. He even talks about upgrading human intelligence with Neuralink. He envisions a future where humans merge with artificial intelligence. He argues this is necessary to prevent AI from surpassing humanity. This idea sparks both intrigue and fear in equal measure. If Neuralink succeeds, it could fundamentally change what it means to be human. It could give people superhuman abilities, like memory enhancement. It could allow instant communication between brains without words. It could enable people to download knowledge like software. But these ideas raise ethical, social, and philosophical questions. Who controls the data from your brain? What happens if hackers gain access to your neural interface? Could governments or corporations exploit this technology for surveillance? Could inequality worsen if only the wealthy can afford brain upgrades? These concerns are not hypothetical. They are real issues society must confront. Meanwhile, Neuralink faces pressure to deliver results. Investors expect breakthroughs, and Musk thrives on bold timelines. He often makes ambitious promises about rapid progress. But brain science moves at a slower pace than software development. Human biology cannot be debugged like computer code. Some experts accuse Musk of underestimating these complexities. Others argue his aggressive approach is what drives innovation forward. Regardless of the debate, Neuralink's human trial marks a historic moment. It represents the first step toward merging human minds with machines. Supporters call it revolutionary. Critics call it reckless. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. What is certain is that the world is watching closely. Every update from Neuralink makes headlines. People want to know if this will change medicine forever. They also want to know if this will change humanity forever. As of now, details about the first patient remain scarce. Musk has said the patient's identity is private. He also hinted that initial results are promising. However, the company has not released peer-reviewed data yet. That leaves room for speculation and skepticism. The mystery surrounding the first Neuralink patient has fueled endless speculation. People are wondering who volunteered for this groundbreaking procedure. Was it someone with a severe medical condition? Or was it a healthy individual willing to take the ultimate technological gamble? Neuralink has not confirmed any of these details. Instead, the company maintains strict confidentiality. Musk simply said the person is recovering well. That vague statement has only added to the intrigue. Experts are calling for transparency. They argue that human trials should be closely monitored by the scientific community. Without peer-reviewed evidence, bold claims remain just that, claims. Musk, however, thrives on mystery and hype. He knows that speculation drives attention. And Neuralink is a company that depends heavily on attention. The more people talk about it, the more momentum it gains. Still, the question remains, what exactly does the implant do right now? Based on Neuralink's previous statements, its initial function is simple. It is designed to record and transmit neural activity. The goal is to translate brain signals into digital commands. That means if the patient thinks about moving a cursor, the cursor should move. This is similar to other brain-computer interfaces developed by research institutions. But Neuralink claims its technology is more advanced. It uses thinner threads than any other existing system. It boasts a higher data transfer rate than previous implants. And it aims for wireless communication without external wires sticking out. Those are significant improvements if they work as advertised. However, the human brain is not an easy environment for electronics. Biological tissue reacts to foreign objects. The brain might develop scar tissue around the implant over time. That can degrade the signal and cause complications. Scientists have been struggling with this issue for decades. Neuralink claims its materials and design minimize these problems. But long-term results are not yet known. Will the implant last for years without failure? Will patients need repeated surgeries to replace it? These are critical questions that remain unanswered. Another question concerns the brain's adaptability. When we introduce new technology into the nervous system, the brain changes. It rewires itself to accommodate the new input and output. This neuroplasticity is both a blessing and a risk. It allows the brain to learn to use the implant. But it could also lead to unexpected cognitive side effects. Will patients experience changes in personality? Could they develop dependency on the device? Could removing the device later cause withdrawal-like symptoms? The ethical implications are enormous. Public reaction to Neuralink's human trials has been divided. Some people are fascinated and eager to volunteer. Others are horrified by the idea of brain implants. Social media is flooded with heated debates. Some users call Neuralink the future of humanity. Others call it a dystopian nightmare in the making. This polarization is nothing new for Musk's projects. He thrives on bold ideas that stir controversy. When he launched Tesla, many doubted electric cars would succeed. When he proposed SpaceX, critics laughed at the idea of private space travel. Now Neuralink faces similar skepticism. But this time, the stakes are even higher. Electric cars affect transportation. SpaceX affects space exploration. Neuralink affects the human mind itself. That makes it one of the most consequential technologies in history. The idea of merging minds with machines is not new. Science fiction has explored it for decades. Movies and books imagined neural interfaces long before Neuralink existed. What was once fiction is now inching toward reality. And reality is always more complex than fiction. In fiction, brain implants usually work flawlessly. In reality, they require delicate surgery, precision engineering, and constant maintenance. In fiction, characters rarely worry about infections or immune responses. In reality, those risks are significant. Brain surgery can never be completely risk-free. Even with advanced robotics, complications can occur. And if something goes wrong inside the brain, consequences can be devastating. Despite this, Neuralink markets the procedure as relatively simple. Musk has suggested it could one day be an outpatient surgery. He envisions people walking into a clinic, getting an implant, and leaving the same day. He compares it to LASIK eye surgery. But LASIK does not involve drilling into the skull. It does not involve inserting electrodes into brain tissue. It does not carry the same potential for irreversible harm. That is why many neuroscientists remain skeptical. They acknowledge the technology's potential for medical applications. But they question Musk's timeline and consumer-focused ambitions. Restoring movement to paralyzed patients is one thing. Selling cognitive upgrades to healthy people is another. The ethical difference between therapy and enhancement is huge. One addresses suffering and disability. The other creates a market for superhuman abilities. And that market could become highly exploitative. Tech companies already profit from digital addiction. Imagine the profit potential of neural addiction. Imagine people craving brain upgrades the way they crave smartphones. Imagine a subscription model for mental performance. That sounds like a cyberpunk nightmare. And yet, it could easily become reality if no regulations exist. The regulatory framework for neural technology is almost non-existent. Existing laws cover medical devices, not mind-enhancing implants. Governments are playing catch-up with fast-moving innovation. By the time laws are written, the technology could already be widespread. That is a dangerous scenario. It means companies could set the rules themselves. And history shows that corporate self-regulation rarely works. Consider social media platforms. They promised to connect the world. They ended up fueling misinformation and polarization. Now imagine that level of power inside the brain. The consequences could be catastrophic if misused. Yet Musk dismisses these concerns as overblown. He frames Neuralink as humanity's salvation against AI. He argues that artificial intelligence will soon surpass human intelligence. To stay relevant, humans must merge with machines. This is his core argument for Neuralink. But not everyone agrees with this vision. Some AI researchers say Musk exaggerates the threat. Others argue that merging with AI creates new dangers. What happens if the AI connected to your brain malfunctions? What happens if it develops harmful behavior? Could it manipulate your thoughts without you knowing? Could it override your sense of self? These scenarios may sound extreme, but they are worth considering. Technology often evolves in unexpected ways. Few predicted social media would reshape democracy. Few predicted smartphones would dominate our lives so completely. Neural technology could have an even greater impact. Because unlike phones or computers, it interfaces directly with consciousness. That makes it fundamentally different from any previous invention. For now, Neuralink remains in its infancy. One human subject does not make a revolution, but it signals the beginning of something profound. If the trial succeeds, Neuralink will gain enormous credibility. If it fails, the dream of brain-computer fusion could suffer a major setback. Musk cannot afford failure at this stage. Investors and the public are watching closely. The hype around Neuralink is massive. The global media continues to dissect Neuralink's bold move into human trials. News outlets are running stories about the potential benefits of brain implants. At the same time, opinion pieces warn about the dangers. Some call Neuralink the dawn of a new medical era. Others call it a Pandora's box that should remain closed. Public opinion is divided across cultural and generational lines. Younger people seem more open to neural augmentation. They grew up with smartphones and social media, so merging with technology feels natural to them. Older generations are generally more skeptical and fearful. They view brain implants as a step too far. But fear and fascination often go hand in hand. The promise of curing paralysis or blindness is hard to ignore. Imagine someone who has not walked in years suddenly regaining movement. Imagine a person who has been unable to speak finally communicating again. These breakthroughs would transform millions of lives. That is why many medical researchers are cautiously optimistic. They see the potential, but they demand rigorous testing. Because the human brain is not a playground for tech experiments. Every implant carries the risk of irreversible damage. Every malfunction could mean seizures, infections, or worse. And then there is the unknown factor of long-term consequences. What happens to the brain after a decade of electrical stimulation? Will neurons adapt and thrive, or will they degrade over time? Could implants accelerate degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's? No one knows the answers yet. But Neuralink seems confident it can manage these risks. Musk claims the device is designed to be safe, durable, and upgradable. He says future versions will require only minor adjustments instead of major surgeries. He even envisions wireless charging through the skin. That would make the implant as convenient as a smartphone. But convenience in consumer tech is not the same as safety in neurotech. When a phone battery fails, you replace the phone. When an implant fails, you face brain surgery. That is a level of risk most people will hesitate to accept. At least until the benefits outweigh the dangers. And those benefits could be enormous if Neuralink succeeds. Restoring motor function is only the beginning. Neuralink talks about sensory restoration for blindness and deafness. It hints at mood regulation for mental health disorders. It imagines memory enhancement and accelerated learning. Eventually, it envisions cognitive symbiosis with artificial intelligence. This is where things get truly controversial. Because once we start enhancing healthy brains, the game changes. Society will face ethical dilemmas like never before. Who gets access to these enhancements? Will they be affordable for everyone or only for the wealthy elite? Will people feel pressured to upgrade their brains to stay competitive? Will education systems adapt to students with enhanced cognitive abilities? Will employers demand neural upgrades for high-performance roles? This could create a world divided between the augmented and the unaugmented. Some call this the neuro divide. And the social consequences could be catastrophic. Imagine discrimination based on brain augmentation. Imagine a new class hierarchy determined by cognitive power. Science fiction writers have warned about this scenario for decades. Now it is no longer fiction, it is a potential future.